Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PID. This is one of those games I've been putting off reviewing for quite a while because I've been really busy lately with university work and such, but alas, here we are. PID is quite a fun little indie platformer, and there are two things that are most striking about this game. The first is the look of it, and it looks fantastic. It's not the most graphically intensive game in the world. It's not got super HD textures or amazing models or anything like that. What it does have is aesthetic. The developers picked a particular style and stuck with it throughout the entire game. And what you'll find is that the whole game is a cohesive experience graphically. I found the game to be a bit minimalistic to a certain extent, and you'll first notice this in the menu, which is quite a bit different from what everyone else is doing. It's just a background and text on it, and that's about it, and it contrasts quite nicely. I think it looks quite nice solely because it's different and it's a nice change of pace. The second thing is the soundtrack, and the soundtrack is awesome. It's got loads of different tunes, and I think it just sounds fantastic. You can have a listen to it in the back now. Gameplay wise, PID is a platformer, and it plays just as you would expect it to. Interestingly enough, PID looks like a casual game and feels like a casual game because, well, the game is quite slow. This is mostly due to the fact that the character moves quite slowly, and so do the enemies. This of course changes as you start to get towards the end of the game, but not by any significant amount. Now while PID looks casual and feels casual, it is not a casual game. Despite its looks and appearances, it can be quite challenging at times. Some of the puzzles, even the early ones, can leave you quite stumped. Well, they left me quite stumped in any case. The weird thing is that the difficulty fluctuates widely, and you can get really hard sections but then stumble across this really easy bit and you just feel like it's not supposed to be there. Or the inverse of that situation, which seems to happen more regularly. You play a little boy, and he's gotten lost on an unfortunate bus journey. When he finally does get off the bus, he's on another planet with loads of these weird creatures. They look sort of like carved robotic doll type things, and you can talk to all of them, and they sort of give you hints as to where you are and what the story is and where you have to go next. Some of them will sort of brush you off and sort of go about their own thing. A couple of minutes in, you find an orb, and you can toss this orb indefinitely. However, you can only have 2 of these beams up available. Landing an orb will create one of these beams, and the beam essentially pushes you in the direction it's facing. You can basically create a beam anywhere you can chuck your orb onto, and while in the start your orb doesn't fly very far, later on you do get access to a gadget or two which allow you to throw them a bit further. In addition to the beam, you have access to a couple other tools which you can find throughout the world, and these are not indefinite. These you either have to buy or you can find by killing enemies or just spawn naturally in the world. These can be a number of things, from bombs to vests to firecrackers even, and they all do different things. For example, the bomb destroys enemies, and the life vest protects you from a bit of damage. They do throw this twist at you early on. You get these blue enemies, which are different from the red enemies. The blue ones you cannot affect with your beam. So the red ones, you could create a beam on them and force them upwards or sideways into spikes or some other danger. However, the blue enemies are unaffected always, and you have to find some other way of dealing with them. Usually you'll have to use the environment to your advantage. This is one of the inhabitants I was talking to you about earlier, and as you can see, he's a bit of a weird doll-like creature thing. Now, PID is $10 or £7 on Steam, depending on where you are, and the value for money in this game is absolutely excellent because the game goes on for quite a while. It goes on for about 9 to 11 hours or so. So this game will keep you busy for quite some time. So the game's got a hell of a lot of playtime for a platformer, great visuals and a fantastic soundtrack, and in addition to all of that, it's also got local co-op, something you really don't see very often, but I wish you did. Unfortunately, I didn't have anyone to try it out with, so I can't comment on that regard. In any case, that's all I have to say on PID, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and all that stuff. It really does help me out. I'll leave the video running a bit so you guys can see one of the bosses in the game and listen to a bit of the soundtrack. See you guys around next time.